The biggest thing that I learned I didn't learn until a lot later. And that was about what I was talking about before, which is it's really about your identity and deciding who you are going to be. And that controls your actions. So if you already have totally ingrained in you that you're someone who can climb big mountains, or that you're someone who can climb Kilimanjaro, when you go and whatever struggle you face, it doesn't even come into your mind that quitting would be an option.
This is episode 10 with the achiever of the impossible, Sarah Arnold-Hall.
Welcome to Take Command with Paul GoWin. I am a Mustang Marine turned international leadership consultant. Each time we come together, I bring you inspiring people and messages to help you take command of your relationships, your time, and your finances so that you are free to lead the life you want. More than taking action, greater than empowerment. Take command of your life. Starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Muhammad Ali said impossible is just a word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing. And Francis of Assisi said, start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. And oh my gosh, those quotes motivate me. This episode is all about confronting what is thought to be impossible and moving past that thought with action. And Sarah Arnold-Hall is dialing this in. She already has a track record of pushing what is possible and then blowing past it. She has specific frameworks that we're going to dive into on this conversation. She's going to share that with you. Sarah Arnold-Hall is a high-performance coach who helps people achieve impossible goals. Her own impossible achievements include climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, hiking to the Everest Base Camp, walking the red carpet in Hollywood, and she is currently on a mission to hit 100 push-ups in a row. In this Take Command conversation, Sarah talks about the importance of family in stressful times, how she takes command of her thoughts, and how she overcame her fear of flying. And I asked her how past lessons helped her uproot from her apartment in Britain and immediately move back home to New Zealand as she was facing the COVID crisis, how she's inspired to push past what is possible, and what superpower she's growing right now. And you'll learn the surprising question that Sarah has for Oprah if she has 5 minutes with her. I know you're going to love this. If you are a person who scoffs at the impossible, then this episode is for you. And if you know someone in your life who is challenged with the belief in themselves, the tactics of how to go after what's possible and to push themselves into what was once impossible, then send them this conversation. You can pay it forward. Be that hero. Be that champion. Send them the link, Paul GoWin /010 or paulgown.com/010, or share this on whatever podcast platform that you're listening on. Start a conversation. Ask them what they got out of this. Maybe you start off by sending to them, hey, I got these ideas from Paul and Sarah. Hold each other accountable, and then see what you can do to grow as you then have a partner to help you tackle what is impossible, or at least what you once thought was impossible. Send that link over to them. And remember, I love for you guys to connect and be part of the community. So head over to Facebook and join the Take Command crew. There we go in depth and Take Command Tuesdays and help each other improve each other's lives. That's what this is all about with that community. So let's jump into today's conversation.
Welcome, everyone, to the Take Command podcast. I am so excited. I can't even talk. I'm so excited. I have Sarah Arnold-Hall connected with me from New Zealand. Sarah, thank you so much for this. I can't even talk. I'm so excited. How are you doing today?
I'm also so excited. Thank you so much for having me. I'm having a great day.
As I was looking at things to prepare for this podcast, I saw that we have some commonalities. One of them is that we are on a mission, and a challenging mission, to push our bodies. You're on a 100 push-up challenge.
Yes.
How many are you up to right now?
I can do 50.
Holy smokes. Like
Well,
a
that's
few,
my limit
you're at that limit
so
right now?
far. That's where my current limit is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. I found a push-up challenge for me. I'm doing the Wim Hof push-up challenge, where you go through a bunch of breathing, and then on the exhale, you do some push-ups. Have you heard about this?
No, I had no idea, but I love Wim Hof. I'm going to have to
Yeah,
look it up.
it's on his app. And when he was on Lewis House's podcast, he did it with Lewis on the air. So you go through the breath cycles, and on the exhale, you just let it go, and then you do push-ups. So I was like, you know what? What's my goal? And I'm like, well, Sarah's doing 100. So I too have a 100 push-up challenge, and I'm gonna do it with like the Wim Hof method. So I want to see if I can do that. So we have that in common.
That's amazing. I love that so much.
Yeah. I think we both can look to anybody who complains about the Europe to America flight and just kind of because you've taken some pretty long flights, and so have I. I have family in Japan, so going from LAX to Tokyo or Chicago or even DC to Tokyo, those are some pretty long flights. What's the longest flight you've taken?
I've taken a 16-hour flight. That was my most recent flight that I took. But actually, in total, it's spending like maybe 44, even 50 hours in total transit and kind of being awake that whole time. So I'm very familiar with that exhausting travel.
Well, and this most recent trip, you made a choice to get out of Dodge and get back from England to New Zealand. Like, what did you do? Just like donate all your stuff and then just jump on a plane? Like, how did that process work?
Yeah, it was the most bizarre process because from like it was like on a Saturday, everything was fine, everything seemed fine, and then by the Sunday, it was like we're going home, and so much has happened recently. I think as everybody will understand and feel in their own lives as well. But it just became clear that we needed to go back in case we couldn't come back for maybe a year or so if we didn't go back now. So in terms of actually getting rid of our stuff, it was so much of a process of taking like everything we owned to a charity store and then just booking flights and then getting on the next one we possibly could.
Wow. I remember seeing part of that from Instagram because we're connected on the gram. And I remember thinking, like, if I was in that place of necessity to uproot now, what would it be that I would consider that priority? Because you're limited to like whatever it is you're carrying with you through the airport. Or did you put some stuff in the post to mail back home?
I didn't put anything in the post. And it's funny that you say that because as soon as we arrived in New Zealand, I lost my bag. And so it was like dawning on me, like I didn't lose it. The airline lost it, my full bag. I was like, everything that I own in my entire life, the airline's just lost. I was like, the only things I had on me was what was in my backpack, which was my laptop and like a spare change of clothes. And I was sitting there and I was like, oh my goodness, what if I've just lost everything I own? And like, it's like so crazy. And I was staying so calm though, because I just knew I would get it back. Because I just feel like those things, like they didn't throw it out of the airplane while it was moving. So I knew that they were going to get it. Well, I would get it back.
Yeah.
And
you
I
did?
did.
Okay, good.
Last minute, very last minute before I had to board my next
gosh.
flight. Some poor woman had accidentally taken my bag and I had her bag. So.
Oh my goodness. There's so many questions I want to ask, but the other thing that I saw that we have in common is we're both certified high performance coaches through the High Performance Institute, trained by the main man himself, Brendan Burchard. And was that adventure for you to get that certification? Is that the 50 hours of travel that you're talking about there?
It's not, but that was also, I mean, that would have been up there close to 50 hours as well. That's not actually the longest one I've ever done, but that would have been up there. Yeah, for sure. That was an insane time.
So what I'm learning already is that I want to go to different conferences and events with you, maybe go visit the world with you. I'm not going to travel with you though.
I promise I'm not like bad luck while I travel.
And I want to acknowledge you right off the gate, because as you were really just evacuating from Britain to get back to New Zealand, I saw your posts on Instagram, and I would never have thought that you were displacing around the world. I had to like rewatch a few parts of your story to understand, like, you just got rid of everything, and now you're getting ready to go to the other side, the other side of the world, because you got to switch hemispheres twice, like east to west and north to south.
Yes.
What's the biggest thing that you learned for what's important to you with a journey like that, especially with the timing of a journey like that?
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is family. And I know that that sounds really like a fluffy answer, or like the nice answer, but really it was about that. It was like, if I have to give up all my stuff, you're kind of stripped back. I have this philosophy about swimming naked in the ocean. And the idea is that if you had to get naked in the ocean with everyone you knew, or your idols, you're including like anyone who might have more resources than you, less resources than you, and you all get in the ocean completely naked, you are all the same. And so that's like, you shouldn't compare yourself to each other, right? But I kind of had that feeling around like giving up all my stuff and moving. And it's like, what, you're stripping away everything. What's important? It's like you're swimming in the ocean naked, and all you are again is you. And it makes you really reevaluate what's important in my life. And I realized it's really family, and family extending to friends as well. It's the people in my life. And I realized that I wanted to be back with the people that I loved. And I mean, I had plenty of people that I had to leave behind in England as well. And so it wasn't an easy choice to make. And I'll be back there. But yeah, I would say that it's family.
And the thing that I haven't mentioned, because at the time of the filming of this right now, we are in the middle of COVID. Cases are still on the rise in America here. I haven't looked at New Zealand's impact. How are y'all faring down there?
We're quite lucky because we're very isolated. It's one of the few times that being isolated is an advantage. So I think we have about 1,000 cases, and we've had one death, which is we're pretty lucky compared to the States, sure.
Yeah. Who did you make the trek with from around the world to get back home?
That was with my partner, Daniel. So we actually moved together to England. He is British, so was able to get, and I had to get a visa, but he moved for me. Actually, I said I wanted to travel, and I didn't want the travel to end. I wanted to have an adventure, and so he moved for me, and he ended up moving back for me as well, because I was the real driver. He still had a job over there that he had to leave, and he's a really fantastic support.
Big shout out to him. That is absolutely amazing. And so you get back home, and you're not even allowed to interact with your loved ones. They cordoned off part of the house for y'all to live back there. Talk
Absolutely.
us through that adventure.
Yeah, so they pick us up from the airport by dropping two cars. So his parents came, they picked us, dropped two cars, and they went back in one car. We were fully there with the masks and everything. We got into the car, and then we went around the back of the house. They'd cut off one part of the house, turned the laundry into a mini kitchen for us. And then they would basically drop us food at the door, knock, and run away. And so for the last 2 weeks, they've been cooking all of our meals. They've been so fantastic at looking after us and just dropping food at the door and running. And then the last 2 nights, we've actually been able to cook for them. So we cooked them a full Christmas dinner last night, for fun, which was really nice.
I love that, because I think I would be tempted if I had meals being brought to me several times a day. I'd just be like, Mom, I don't know if I feel too well. Can you keep the meals coming?
Exactly. It was really, really nice. Yeah. It was one perk of being locked in a house.
Yeah. One of the things that is foundational within the Take Command project is that people don't rise to the occasion in times of stress. They fall back on their training. So as you look back throughout your life, what are the points that you see that you've had something similar? It's not exactly like COVID. It's not exactly like grabbing your partner and moving across two hemispheres to come back to New Zealand. But you had other things in your life that prepared you for this, that you've been training for this, because you, from everything I could see, you did this with excellence and grace and poise and leadership, Sarah. What are the pieces of your past that help prepare you for something like this?
Well, thank you. There's always bits and pieces. I think I've been tested quite a few times. And I always like to think of things as a test rather than as a disaster. It's more of like a how bad do you want it type situation. The thing that comes to mind the most for me was traveling to the high performance coaching certification that we did, where actually I met you, Paul, for the first time. And that was it sounds like it would just be the most straightforward, basic, you get on a flight and you go to your thing. And it just turned into this giant disaster. And at every step of the way, I just had to pick myself up, make a decision about the thoughts that I was going to think about it and keep moving forward.
When when was this? Because we've been connected for a little while, and because of social media, I feel like I get to check in with you a few times a day.
Mhm.
When was that certification?
So this was the 2018 November certification in
Oh
Arizona.
wow, okay, yeah. It's not that long ago, and yet it feels wow. That's awesome. As you're talking through choosing the thoughts that you want to think,
Mm.
I want you to think about a member of the audience listening to this or watching this right now, and speak directly to this man or woman who doesn't have that skill yet for that choice, that taking command of one's own thoughts, and break that down into a few like tactical steps. What would be maybe 2 or 3 steps for a person who's not familiar with that training that they
Mhm.
could gain some proficiency? Walk us through that, would you?
Of course. Okay, so I think a lot of the time we ask ourselves, what do I need to do to get the result that I want? That's kind of like the model that we use as humans. It's like everyone's doing that. What do I need to do to get the result that I want? When really we should be asking ourselves, who do I need to be to get the result that I want? Because once you step into being a certain person, the action then comes automatically. So if you, for example, you're somebody who eats healthily, you don't have to stress about whether you're on your diet or you're not on your diet because you're someone who is a healthy person. That's who you are, for example. Um, if you're someone who believes you're not a healthy person, then the action you're trying to take is go on the diet, and it just doesn't align with who you are. So the first step is to ask yourself, who do I need to be to get the result that I want? And in this case, it might be the result you want could be anything. It could be to solve this problem. It could be literally, in any result that you want. It could be to make $1 million. It could be to lose the weight, stop smoking, to show up amazingly in the meeting that you're going into, whatever it is. Who do I need to be? And then secondly, it's asking yourself, now that I am that person and stepping into that, now that I am a healthy person, now that I am someone who serves with excellence, now that I am, you could be Miley Cyrus, you could choose a persona to step into. Now that I am that person, what do I do? And so it's coming from this whole new place of choosing your thoughts choosing your thoughts and your actions based on the person that you need to be rather than just the doing. That would be that then you can take the next step. It's actually how I overcame my fear of flying.
Wow. Okay. Maybe you've had this in some of your coaching conversations. You think you have an idea of where we're going to go, and then all of a sudden it's just like it's not a crossroad. It's just like it explodes into this cluster of, well, which one of the spectrum of opportunities do we want to go to? Who do you need to be right now, and for what, or for who?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. The person that I need to be right now is the coach who serves, because I feel that I have, and that is a being as well, that we can take that from a place of doing, like I need to serve as a coach. I need to serve. I need to do all these things. I need to show up on Facebook. I need to blah, 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 blah. But really it's, I need to be the serving coach. I need to be the one who's stepping up, and because this is a difficult time for so many people. And I really feel like that's my mission right now, is to show up as that excellent coach.
And what's the driving force for you? I'm thinking about Nietzsche, who, to paraphrase him, when you know your why, you can bear most anyhow. And you're creating such amazing content. You've got this online program that you are just representing so well online. Like I'm watching like how you're doing it, who you're serving, how, like all of these things. What is that driving force, that purpose, that why that keeps you moving forward every day?
I want to be an example of what's possible. I want people to look at my journey now and think, oh, she's not, maybe she's not where she wants to be, but she's going for it. And then one day I'd love for people to look back at my first YouTube videos and go, they were shocking. If she can get to where she is now, in my future self, and they'll be able to look back and go, wow. And, at one point she couldn't do any push-ups and now she can do 50. Or at one point she had these shocking YouTube videos and now she has a great, YouTube presence or something like that. Whatever, anything that I'm going after, it's always for the idea of, I want to be an example of what's possible for people.
As you look back on your YouTube videos right now, I'm doing this. I see that I unbuttoned too many buttons, and I had the goop in my hair, and I wasn't the stylist, so like everything looked great up front, and then I would turn to the side, and you would just see this little flap of hair, like a little shelf. Absolutely hilarious, and I've got some great friends that will take screenshots and send that to me. What's something that you're already finding with your initial work that you just find delightful or hilarious, or for me, like unfortunate? Like, it was unfortunate that I thought it was okay to unbutton that many buttons, but in a delightful kind of way. What have you found anything like that in your YouTube videos?
Definitely. For me, it's my intros. So I would try and there's so many of them that I didn't post either, and that you won't see. They're actually on my private YouTube channel, and I'll have a look at them and laugh already. And that's only, a year ago or so. But they'll come up with this kind of intro of, hi, I'm Sarah Arnold-Hall, and today we're going to talk about mindset, personal development, and coaching. And then I'll freeze, and I will have had my intro ready, and then I'll be like, oh my gosh. And then I'll just start talking on a tangent, and I will have no idea what I'm about to say. And it just goes off on this whole rant. And you can tell that I'm off track. You can tell that I know that I'm off track. So I would say definitely like having that super structured script kind of idea.
We're going to have to exchange like the best of the bloopers videos like in the future here. I love that so much. Have you always had this resolve of wanting to demonstrate what is possible, or was there a time in your life that you questioned that you questioned your mettle or your can-do-itness?
Yeah, I don't think I always did. I think I always had like the seed of the acorn. What do you call it? A seed of an acorn? Just the acorn was there in terms of the idea. But I hadn't really figured out how I wanted to do that. And so it was sort of, I was in this place of like, I'm a multi-passionate person, and I'm just throwing myself at anything. I told my mom the day before I went to university to study psychology, I was like, I want to be a DJ. And she lost the plot. She was like, what? You're paying all this money to do psychology and you want to be a DJ? But in my eyes, it made total sense that I was going to become a DJ.
Sure.
So I think I always knew that whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to excel in it. That was something that I always had from being young. But I think I just had no idea which direction. I mean, I think it's just totally, most of us have no idea about a lot of these things. And I think my mission and my why might change throughout the years because it has changed in the past. So yeah, definitely not from the beginning.
You kind of hope so at a certain point though, don't you? Like when you look back across like some of the purposes or some of the directions you were going, you're like, I am so glad that I shifted directions.
Yeah,
I love it.
totally.
What as you were growing up, what was your greatest fear?
That's deep, Paul. I think that's a really tricky one to answer because there's my surface level answer, which is like losing loved ones, which I think I would say that a lot of people deal with and struggle with. That was like my biggest fear for sure. Um, but I also had fears around, I think, not being seen or not making the impact that I wanted to make on the world. I was afraid of leaving the earth before I had a chance to do the work that I felt like I had come to do. And even though I didn't know what that was, whether it was going to be a DJ or whether it
Yeah.
was going to be an air hostess, which is funny because of my fear of flying at the time, but I still wanted to do it. I didn't know what that was going to be, but I always felt like I was just terrified. And I think that actually I turned that into becoming a driver for me instead of like a thing that held me back. So yeah.
I love that, because there's so many people that for whatever reason, it might be where they grew up or their choice of which god to worship or the pigmentation in their skin or their gender or gender identity that they might have these societal limitations put on them or expectations put on them. And you stepped away from that because you recognize that impact. Walk me through that choice again for that person in the audience who might be feeling that but I'm different, Sarah, you don't understand me. Going back to kind of what Brendan talks about, that caged life.
Mm.
Rattle the cage, show them the handle that they can open that door and step foot in the direction of what is possible for them.
I would say you are different. I think you're totally right. You're different. You're just not thinking about that in the right way. Change that thought to be, I'm different and that's my strength, because even now, it's something that I have to work on consistently daily is the challenges that I face that I think are very personal to me and no one else in the whole world is dealing with this challenge. I have to think about it like, well, actually that can be my advantage. And sometimes you don't have to know how it's going to be your advantage yet. There's a really great story in Think and Grow Rich about this by Napoleon Hill, where the son, he is deaf, and the father just instills in him this idea that it will be like his greatest advantage.
Yes.
And his father has no idea how. And then one day he uses it to inspire tons of other people with the cochlear implant that he gets. And he, builds this huge business around it. And it becomes a fantastic empire. And you don't know how your disadvantages and what makes you different in a good or a bad way can become your advantage. And so I would just say, just hold that faith that whatever you think it is that makes you different, or the reason you think you can't do it, could be the greatest reason that you can.
I've heard some people call that their superpower.
Yes.
What's your superpower right now? Or what's the one that you're cultivating?
Oh, cultivating. I would say the one that I'm cultivating is to be able to connect to anybody. That's like, I love Oprah is like my kind of guru for that. I watch her and I'm like, wow, she can just open someone up in the first sentence. I would love to be able to connect with people on that level. That's the one I'm cultivating.
If you had 5 minutes with Oprah and she brought you in to coach her, what would you do? How would you open her up?
I've always thought about Oprah coaching me. Wow. If I were to coach Oprah, I would ask her about what it is that over all these years she still feels like she doesn't know, because she always talks about what I know for sure. That's like her line, what I know for sure. Oprah, what do you not know for sure? And I would get her to open up about what she doesn't know for sure and see if she can maybe reconcile that a little bit, because I do think that most of us do actually know a lot for sure within ourselves if we're truly if we're truly honest with ourselves and we can look inside, we actually know all the answers ourselves. That's the trick. That's the real thing, is we all know the answers, and that's the power of coaching. We have them already inside ourselves, just having someone else bring them out a little bit.
Yeah, I have the answer in this corner of my introspection, and coach, break out the floodlight. Illuminate that corner for me. I love that. You have such poise, you have such clarity. We don't arrive to this place on our own. Who was the most influential person for you growing up, and what did they teach you, or what did they impart on you? Or if we're going for like the fun words, what did they inculcate in you?
Ooh, inculcate. It's my uncle. He gave me a window into an opportunity. A window. Man, I'm using all the good words now. He gave me the opportunity to see that there was a different path. And so the way that he did that was, while everybody around me started drinking and doing drugs, he just said a few lines to me. He said, "Oh no, I've never tried it." And I thought, "Oh, okay, he's never tried drugs." No, he really meant he'd never picked up alcohol. And at the time, I had this thought of, I don't want to drink alcohol yet. I was about 13 or 14, and some of my friends were starting to drink alcohol. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's actually an option to never do it. And it just kind of opened up my mind, not just for that. I actually have also never had a drink, but I think it's not about not having the drink. It was really about making a decision that you can choose to go against the grain. And again, it can be your strength. It was just this, over my life, over a period of different conversations that we had as well, just this, oh, you can do stuff differently. You don't have to do things. Like, you can do things the way that you think, like, that you've never even heard of. I didn't know of anybody in the whole entire world who'd never had a drink. And then my uncle said it, and I was like, whoa. And I was like, I could never have a drink. What if I never have, and I don't have a resolve to never drink, but I just never have had one.
And it's because somebody helped show you that's an option.
Yeah. And that's just, and I don't condemn anybody for drinking, and it's absolutely my choice. And I think that extends out to so many other things. It's definitely not just about the drinking. It's like, you can choose every little point in your life. You can question everything, and you can construct your life to be however you want it to be.
I mean, that really hits home for me, because I lost myself to alcohol when I came back from Afghanistan as a Marine. And I would even be cute about it. I'm like, oh, people say there's no answers at the bottom of the bottle. No, like, most bottles are worth a nickel in Oregon and Washington if you recycle them.
Yeah.
In numbing that pain with booze, I'm so glad that although you're not going to experience that journey, it's going to continue to catapult you on this place of service that you continue to pave in front of you. I love seeing everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
One of the things we talked about was you climbed Kilimanjaro. Like, I'm pretty happy with growing up in Montana. I'm half the state's population. I would go backpacking or trekking most every summer. I haven't done something like the highest peak on a continent before. What was the biggest thing that you learned from that trek?
Oh, the biggest thing that I learned I didn't learn until a lot later. And that was about what I was talking about before, which is, it's really about your identity and deciding who you are going to be. And that controls your actions. So if you already have totally ingrained in you that you're someone who can climb big mountains, or that you're someone who can climb Kilimanjaro, when you go and whatever struggle you face, it doesn't even come into your mind that quitting would be an option. And I genuinely remember when we finished, my mom said, "Oh, it's really amazing that we all got to the top." And I was like, "Yeah, of course we did." And she was like, No, but some people had to turn around. And I was like, "Yeah, but not us, because we were going to do it." And she was like, "Yeah, but we could have gotten sick, or something could have happened. And it just never even crossed my mind that we wouldn't do it. I was like, we're doing this. And of course there are disadvantages to that kind of, if you don't have perspective. Luckily I had, my mom and other people around me for perspective. You don't want to just be completely like, we're doing this no matter what type attitude.
Come hell or high water, this is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to have a bit of perspective. But I think, it's again, if you've made the decision about who you are, then the action that fits with that, that belief, that identity will automatically happen.
So for those people that don't have such an amazing mother or the uncle to help give these options, create and point out these options to shed this light on perspective, what would you say to the people that they're on their own to gain that? Maybe they're coming from a place where their family members or their friends didn't choose the right path, and it wasn't for the some place of malice. They just didn't know that there was an option, but now they're listening to this today and they want to shift their perspective. How does one do that if they don't have the family structure and resources like you had? Because you're crafting your own way right now, and you're going out on your own. So what would those, maybe what are you doing to get your own perspective, or what would a person that doesn't have that do to gain that perspective?
I always think that some people say like, oh, you've got a great mindset, Sarah. And I'll say my mindset is only just an amalgamation of Tony Robbins and Oprah and Brendan Burchard and Brooke Castillo and all of these mentors that I really am passionate about. And my uncle, and my mom, and it's kind of this mush of like all these ideas that I've chosen, like, yep, that's an idea that I want to take on. And that's another idea. Not their entire philosophy necessarily, but you want to pick and choose and create your own mindset and your philosophy. So I would say it's about finding mentors, and they don't have to be people that you know necessarily. They can be people that don't even know that you exist. Like most of my mentors have no idea that I exist. But you can imagine what they would say to you. Half of my journals are filled out with conversations that I'm having with my mentors that they never actually had with me. So I'm facing a problem and I think, what would Oprah do? Like, who would Oprah be right now? What would Oprah be saying? And I'll imagine Oprah or whoever it is in that moment. And I'll have a conversation where I literally write out as if it's a script, Oprah. And then Oprah says, so Sarah, what are you struggling with today? And then it will be Sarah's turn. Well, I'm struggling with this thing. And Oprah says, well, what are you going to do about that? And like, what about this thing? And I would do this. And I have this full on conversation. So find your mentors, whoever they are, podcasts, YouTube videos, people in your community, maybe not right now in the physical community, but maybe in the online community.
Yeah.
So find your mentors.
Oh, wow. Is there a place where you're holding back that you have the capacity right now to be at a 10 and you're at not a 10? Is there a place that you're playing small right now in your life? If you came in to coach yourself, you could be like, hey, what's going on over here, Sarah? Do you have anything like that right now?
Oh, Paul, you're calling me out. Yes. Oh, I think there are always little places that you can improve, and I have big places to improve as well. I would say that I'm not showing up in the way that I know I can show up for my audience and for the people that I can serve. I do a bit, and when I do, I try and do my best. But I hold back because of my own fears. Oh, I'm not good on video. Oh, I never know what to say, or I get nervous. So the other day I made a live video on Instagram, and I was just like chopping some oranges, and I made an orange juice while I was sharing my goals. And I watched it back and I was like, oh, I really hope no one ever sees this. So I would say it's coming from a place of like, I need to get out there and serve regardless, because one day I'll look back on that orange juice video and I'll laugh and I'll be able to point out everything that I did wrong, just like I did before with the first YouTube video I ever made. So yeah, it's showing up.
Well, now that you recognized it, just what would you do? Like your question, who do you need to be to go past that fear? What's that answer? Like if we just if we take that question that you said earlier for a test drive here, who is that person? Yeah.
To show up.
Yeah.
I need to be the person that is not about me. It's about the people that I'm serving. I need to show up with knowing that there's somebody out there right now who's going to benefit from the video, even if it's one person whose life will be slightly enhanced, and that's the person that I'm making the video for, regardless of how awkward I feel or whether I have my eyelash filter on or not, you know.
I love that you gave the shout out to the eyelash filter, because I thought they were your natural lashes for a while. I was like, holy God, what?
No, it's fantastic because I love the Instagram eyelash filter because it's one of those ways, it's like a little hack that if you're really not feeling, so good and you want to serve, you can show up and your hair can be a nut. You can have like your pajamas on and you just quickly check on the eyelash filter and suddenly it's like you're on. You feel like you're on. I wish I could. Apparently there's eyelash filters in real life. Apparently they're called like what do you call them? Like just fake eyelashes. My
Fake
sister
eyelashes.
Yeah. But there's just so much. That's so much more work.
Well, and then there's people that like will get them glued on with like almost permanent glue, and then they get like these reactions and their face just yeah.
That'll be a story if I do that.
Yeah. I'm gonna figure out this eyelash filter thing and post some stuff on Instagram just as an homage to you, Sarah.
Please.
I love this so much. We're going to wrap this up. You have a program called the Impossible Incubator. Talk to us about that. Let us know how we can find that and tell us more about what that is and what inspired you to put that together in service for others.
Impossible Incubator is the program that I always wanted to join. And as cheesy as that sounds, I basically created the space that my dream space. So I always had this idea that if you wanted to get fit, you know where to go. You join the gym, you get a personal trainer, or you do workout videos online. If you want to find love, you go to like the dating apps, you do all the things. So where do you go if you have a giant dream and your family and friends may either not support it or that you're too scared to tell them or they just don't get it? Where's the place that like incubates your dreams? And that's where Impossible Incubator was born. I encourage everybody that I meet to set an impossible goal, and I'm going to have to hear about your impossible goal, Paul. But to set something so huge that it feels impossible, and then to have a community of people around you all going after their own impossible goals and strategizing how to make your impossible goal happen. So each week inside Impossible Incubator, which is my membership, we have a mastermind call and everybody gets on there and we all try and work out the issue that the other people are having, or the mindset struggle, or the reason why they haven't taken action on the thing they were going to do last week. Because the thing is, most of us do know how to do our goal. Let's say you want to go to the moon. It feels impossible, but actually, you need to probably go to NASA. And there's steps to do that. It's actually getting ourselves to do that. So having a support group for your wildest dreams, and there's private coaching in there as well. We have experts who come in and do master classes. We have accountability every day to make sure you're doing the things that you said you were going to do. We even have packages that are literally sent to your door with the workbooks in them. It's the whole shebang on like, this is like boot camp for your biggest dream. And it's essentially the coolest thing that I could think of that I wanted to join. And so that's why I created.
I love that, especially like the boot camp for your dream. Like, it's so amazing because you have a way of calling me out on your Instagram posts. I remember one I took a screenshot because you had this smirk with the eyelash filter on in black and white. And it was talking about, am I holding back on my impossible dream? And that so impacted me that after I got done taking that screenshot and reposting it, I went and outlined a new course for me to create. So I love how you show up with this. We'll put the link in the show notes below. My impossible dream is rooted from some of the work that I was able to do in Afghanistan. I was outspoken that what we were doing over there was it's inappropriate. It's wrong. I did not see my enemy in the hills of Southwest Afghanistan. I saw the enemy to America wearing the same uniform as me in pursuit of advancing their own career. So my impossible goal is, with everything that I'm learning with language, to go to thoughts, to go to action. I am going to go sail around the world and go visit every country in the world and do some of this linguistic training so that people know that they have an option, that they know they can create their own path, and that in knowing that, peace is a more prevalent option than what we've been doing for the last few hundred years, especially. But we can trace it back to the origins of humanity. My goal is
Wow.
to I call myself a peacemonger now, a combat vet turned peacemonger.
I
And
love that.
yeah, so that's
Wow,
my
Paul, that's
impossible.
so amazing.
Yeah,
I know that you're going to do it as well. I can
yeah.
tell by the fierceness of your dream. What's your first action?
Well, I got the sailing certification, and now it's to grow my message to where I have people regularly coming in and downloading the courses and getting the workbooks and all of these pieces, because this is going to be a huge investment of resources. Because part of this is to go meet with veterans and their families, and then go meet with the local leadership. The UN hasn't worked. So I have no desire to meet heads of state, with the exception of Pope Francis. I'm really keen to meet him because his namesake, Francis of Assisi, is a combat veteran who
Oh, I didn't know
became
that.
very involved with peace. Yeah, yep. He was en route to the Crusades, and he flipped a U-turn and went back and rebuilt churches throughout Italy. And so that's the only head of state right now that's on my horizon that I want to meet. Um, and so it's going to be a huge financial investment to go and do that. So it's to build my business to where I can go and have that outreach. So that's the big first step. And yeah, you've definitely put a shot across my bow with that smirk and that eyelash filter, Sarah.
That's so cool. I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, so we'll put the links for the Impossible Incubator in the show notes here. And where can we find you? I've been mentioning Instagram. So what's your Instagram handle, and do you hang out anywhere else on the in the interwebs?
Yeah, I'm on all the places. So you can find me on all the places under my name. If you search Sarah Arnold-Hall, sometimes it has a hyphen, sometimes it doesn't. Usually the search bar will find it with or without the hyphen. So you can find me under Sarah Arnold-Hall on all the things. The YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah.
All of the platforms. We've got it. That is awesome. Final few questions here for you. We're gonna do this again in the future. There's just so many things left unquestioned, left unanswered, left. I'm so excited to do this again with you in the future. But the last few questions here for you. If you woke up tomorrow and found out it's the end, you've got today, what would you do?
I would throw I'm going to hope that tomorrow doesn't include the coronavirus lockdown. I'm just going to put that to the side. I would throw a massive dance party. And I know that sounds trivial, but to me, one of my biggest joys in life is group dancing. And I think that it brings out so much joy in everyone else. And I would have everybody come together and celebrate, regardless of whether they knew it was my last day or not. And we would line dance together, not necessarily like the classic line dancing, just like aerobics line dancing, the kind of line dancing where everyone's doing it, anyone can join in, the whole room is up dancing, because I feel like that's a real expression of just joy, and I can't think of a better way to celebrate the last day.
And would you DJ that dance party?
Do you know what I learned, Paul? And this is a really great kind of question that you can ask yourself, and that I discovered on my path to finding some of my passions, is when you look at a passion, you can ask yourself, do I really want to do the thing, or do I want the outcome? And so what I discovered with DJing is that I really just wanted to dance to amazing music. And I realized that my passion is actually dancing and not DJing. And the similar thing happened. I thought I was going to be a designer right up until the last minute. I thought I was going to be a fashion designer. And I realized I didn't want to make the cool clothes. I just wanted to wear the cool clothes, which I think is a really important distinction, because otherwise I could have gone down this whole path of designing, which I still love to design things, but not as a full-time career. And so do I want the outcome of coaching, or do I want to coach? I want to coach. So.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I want to challenge you, even in the middle of COVID here, let's put on the dance party. And you let me know. I took 2 years of dance as a kid, tap and jazz. So,
stop. I'm a trained tap dancing teacher.
Get out.
Yes.
They had to special order my shoes, and I only wore a size 13 then. I'm in a 15. I don't even know if they make them. I just have to like super glue some soda cans on the bottom of my shoes or something. Yeah. So I want to challenge you. Let's get that done before you get that memo that it's your last day. And we can figure out a way to do it virtual. We can host a dance party somehow.
That would be
let me know, and I will be there.
Fantastic.
And what would have your DJ name have been? Did you ever get that far down that path?
I did, and it's so embarrassing. It's Alexina X. And it's like, the reason it's Alexina X is because it makes a cool logo, and you can like draw it in a cool way.
There's that designer part of you there too. I love it.
There you go.
Final question for you, Sarah, and thank you so much for being on here. You are such a light and a love for the world, and you have this way. I will pause your stories on Instagram and grab my lady Valerie, and I'll be like, check out what Sarah's doing today. It's just like, you'll be like super calm and super chill, but what you'll say is so impactful. I have an expression, it's called slapping your brain. And you like slap my brain to this level of wake up to your next level of potential, Paul. And not a lot of people have that effect on me. It is the reason why I look out for your posts. It's one of the first things I see every morning. And it helps with the offset for you being in New Zealand and me being in Arizona right now. Keep leading. You are creating such an amazing platform and a legacy for so many people. So I want to acknowledge you for that.
Wow. Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me, Paul.
Absolutely. And especially that eyelash filter. I'm going to figure that out.
The eyelash filter. I watch out for your posts too. I'm going to be watching out for your eyelash filter.
Okay. I'll figure it out. So final question. What is your definition of take command?
Oh, my definition of take command. Oh, I say it differently, don't I? Command. My definition is you're going to cut this space, right? My definition is to really, like, when I think of taking command, I'm imagining like grabbing hold of like the reins or of the wheel, and like steering it into a different direction. So it's really about like choosing the direction you want to go in, and then just like putting your foot on the gas. I know that's like it's like a metaphor and much less of a idea, but that's what I'm seeing when I see take command. Like grab that wheel and like put the foot on the gas.
I absolutely love it. Sarah Arnold-Hall, thank you so much. We're going to do this again, and stand by for that eyelash filter. It's going to happen.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you.
It was such a pleasure.
Sarah motivates me on a daily basis as I see what she's doing in the world, the content that she's posting, keeping track of her journeys, having her check in on me. She is an inspiration. And if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to share it with a friend. paulgowan.com/010. Text one friend right now. Send this episode, share it on the podcast, share it over on Instagram, tag me, paul.gowan and Sarah Arnold-Hall. Be a hero in someone's life. Pay it forward. Amplify the good messages that you align with, those ones that are going to challenge you to pursue what you thought was once impossible. And do me a favor, would you give me a rating, 1 star, 5 stars, whatever it is, and let me know what you really like or one suggestion for improvement. I love growing from the feedback of this community. I am so grateful for the wisdom and the experience, the knowledge, the pushing past what I thought was impossible that I get from amazing guests like Sarah. And I'm so proud that I get to share these conversations with you. If you want some help pushing past the impossible, check out Sarah's homepage. All of the information is going to be in the show notes. If you want to take a look at how to grow in your life, your relationships, or your business, head over to paulgowan.com/apply. Complete a current client application. We're taking applications right now, and my team and I are so excited to see if you're a good fit for this program, because I know that it will help you grow and succeed faster than what you are currently doing. I am so grateful for Sarah's light and the love that she is in this world. And remember those quotes from the beginning. Muhammad Ali said, "Impossible is just a word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing." And Francis of Assisi said, "Start by doing what's necessary, then do what is possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible." I hope you enjoyed this episode, and you know what time it is now. Take command and lead the life of your dreams.